welcome to another episode of the HLTB podcast. I'm your host, Paula, joined as always by none other than Josh.
What's up, everybody?
After what it seems to us like weeks, we're finally back to talk about the old regular format, like what we've eaten, what we've retired, what we've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we have our discussion topic on trophy and achievement hunting. Let's just try not to unlock alcoholism after this one. And since we finished last guest game round, first of all, we're starting a new one with Josh quizzing me this time around, and he'll finally say which game he's having me play for the next few weeks. So yeah. What have you been recently?
Well, I've beaten a few things over the last few weeks, and most of them I kind of had already started, or there are other things which I had started and finished off. But the first one I've spoken about before was a point-and-click adventure called The Last Door, which is a very classic kind of, I want to say like 16-bit point-and-click adventure, which was kickstarted and crowdfunded. So I don't know the story about it personally. I just happened to have it in my library and decided to play it. But from what I gather, is it was one of those games that got pitched as in like, hey, we want to make this game, and it's a mystery point and click in the old school style. And so they went and got it crowdfunded and obviously made the game, and it came out. And then they made a sequel, Last Door 2, which I'm going to play as well because it was very, very good. And if you're a fan of like 90s point and clicks, I would say this is a good one to play because it's very well made and well put together, as in there's no real jankiness or low qualityness of it. It's, the voice acting is good, the little that there is. Actually, I don't even know if there's lots of dialogue and stuff, and the writing was good and everything. But the actual puzzles and the way they tell the story and everything is quite satisfying. And it doesn't fall back on, 90s moon logic as much as it might have if it was from the 90s. But it actually makes a lot of sense and kind of feels very logical to play through, but also quite interesting. And there's some like supernatural kind of stuff in there and mystery stuff and things to keep you interested. So yeah, if you're a fan of old point and clicks like I am, The Last Door is a good one. Definitely check it out. I also played another one called Armikrog, which I think is kind of well known because it's totally plasticine animated. So it's like claymation, the whole game, and it's handmade and everything. All the animations and everything are real claymation that have been photographed and filmed kind of thing. So it's a weird game as far as the story because you play as this weird alien dude who kind of crash lands on a weird alien planet or location, for want of a better word. And you've got you and your dog who talks, because you talk to your dog all the time. And you basically have to stop your evil brother or doppelganger or other alien person who looks very much like you from taking over and doing all the bad stuff. And you do that by basically just solving your puzzles through this really weird, surreal and abstract world that doesn't make any sense, but makes sense within itself kind of thing. And
I'm looking at it, and it looks like a fever dream, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I mean, especially if you really like good art and style and a good aesthetic in a game, because it's all claymation, so it's all got that kind of physical, tactile feel to all the animations and all the graphics. But it's also very, very creative, very, very colorful, very strange in parts. Like there are, for instance, throughout the game there are these like elevators that take you from one level to another as you cruise through different buildings, but they're actually big, long tentacles of octopuses, and you kind of like grab onto one and up you go to the next level. And that's just, it could have been a regular elevator, but they decided to make it an octopus that you grab onto and it pulls you up with its tentacles. So that's the kind of thing that we're dealing with. And there's other like cube-like creatures that you have to kind of push around so that they'll let you jump on top of them and go up to higher places and stuff. And yeah, it's quite weird, and it's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but I really liked it. Again, it's very much an old school point and click kind of style, and the puzzles are very much as you explore, you might want to take a few notes here and there when you see symbols or different colors or combinations and things, because later on you're going to have to use that information to solve a puzzle, and it just gets more and more complex as you progress through the game. But yeah, Armikrog is one that I've had in my backlog for a long time that I've been wanting to play, and I just decided I'd finally get around to playing it. And I think it comes up pretty cheap every now and then as well, so I definitely recommend checking it out. Again, if you're a fan of point and clicks, and that sounds cool to see a wacky claymation kind of game. Another one that I'd started ages ago and I've played a fair bit of is a racing game called Wreckfest, which I'm sure lots of people have heard of. It's by the guys who, it was originally called Next Car Game when it was in development, and that's when I first picked it up. And because it was made by a mob called Bugbear Entertainment, who a lot of people might know are famous for making the Flat Out series of racing games. And Wreckfest, if you haven't for some reason come across it, is very much a spiritual successor to the Flat Out series, and it uses a lot of very similar kind of physics and stuff in the racing game, because the game is more about destruction and bashing into your opponents than it is about racing and being super fast. There is obviously races that go around tracks and everything, but even the regular races are called banger races because you're typically in shitty vehicles that you've kind of reinforced with big slabs of steel down the side, and half the game is just pushing your opponents off the track with your car and like spinning them out and stuff, and you get points based on how much damage you do to other races. And yeah, and the physics to it are really cool, and the damage modeling is really cool, and you can end up crossing over the finish line in like the weirdest looking vehicles because you've just had the shit beaten out of you, and you've got like 3 wheels left, and your dude is like sitting right on top of them because the engine's been crushed into where the front wheel is, and the other one's kind of scraping along the ground, and you're like, yeah, I'm still racing. And yeah, it's very much a not to be taken seriously.
It's kind of fun how the cover art for it is not like the typical racing game. It's just a yellow car like sitting on top of a pile of other cars that weren't as lucky.
Yep. And yeah, the whole demolition side of it is central to the game, and that's where the fun is as well, because as much as you're racing and everything and you're trying to avoid completely crashing, a lot of the courses are built with that. Like they've got crossover sections where you're going to perhaps collide with another racer, and they've got like loop the loops, and there are some tracks which basically go completely back on themselves. So you kind of go down one end, turn around, and start coming back again with everyone else coming straight at you. So chances are you're going to crash, but that's kind of the point. There's even demolition derby races as well, where the idea is to crash and make everyone else, crash out. And there's also wacky vehicles too. Like you can get a school bus, you can have a couch that's got wheels, you can have like a combine harvester, you can have a car that's kind of stacked on top of another car, so it's like a double-decker car. It's just stupid. But yeah, I started playing the actual career mode for Wreckfest a while ago, and just in the last couple of weeks I decided to finish it off properly. So I finished all the actual events that are in career mode, and so I can now say that I've completed the game, even though it's the kind of game that you're going to pick up every now and then, especially to play some multiplayer or something, because it's just a fun racing game that's kind of unlike any other racing game because it's based on that kind of damage modeling and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. I played a visual novel, which isn't one I'd necessarily recommend, but it's called Adventure of a Lifetime. It's a pretty innocuous visual novel. It's about this guy who goes back to his hometown, which is like on an island, and he meets up with some girl that he grew up with, but he also meets some random girl who's come there to look for buried treasure. So they go on this kind of adventure looking for treasure, and it's got a bit of romance in there as well. So you basically can choose, which girl you want to end up with at the end kind of thing. And yeah, it was entertaining enough, but nothing I'd get too excited about. I just felt like I was in the mood for a visual novel, so I looked at what was in my library, and that one came up because it starts with A. And that's
I
pretty much why I
knew
played
the
it.
art sound like the art was seemed familiar,
Of course it would.
and yeah, the art seemed familiar, and like the overall like UI and stuff seemed familiar. It's from the people that made If My Heart Had Wings. That one is on
Yeah, that
my
sounds familiar.
library. That one is on my library. I don't know how it got there. But I haven't played it, but I did watch a couple of trailers of it. So the overall tone and like the art style, like even though it's anime art style, like each artist has like some quirks, I guess,
Yep.
to how they draw specific things or how they color specific things, and it's pretty much the same between the two games. So it was like, hey, this seems familiar.
Yeah. And yeah, it was completely like fine TM, really. Like there was nothing really to write home about, but it was enjoyable enough, and it kind of filled my need for wanting to do a very basic kind of visual novel. There's nothing like, just to be clear, there's nothing extreme about it. Like there's no graphic content or anything. It's all very wholesome and pretty much G-rated. So, it's very much a kids going on adventure kind of a visual novel.
Yeah.
With like some light romance in there as well. But yeah, it was enjoyable. And yeah, good quality though. Like I say, it was well put together. The writing actually wasn't too bad. They had voice acting for everything, but I kept it on Japanese and just read the English text because that's how I like to do it.
Mm.
In fact, I think it only has Japanese audio, if I remember
I'm
correctly.
looking at the page and it only has Japanese audio.
Yeah, so I like that anyway because, like watching movies and stuff with subtitles, it adds something to be able to hear, how the lines would be read. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't go say anyone needs to rush out and play this game. Even if you are a fan of visual novels, it's pretty much very forgettable. But a game I did play again because I was listening to another podcast or watching a streamer or something, and they mentioned it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good game. So I went and replayed a game called Spaceplan, which is a clicker, like a cookie clicker kind of game, but way better than that. It's a clicker, but you're basically creating power by planting potatoes on a planet, which you don't know what the planet is because you're in like a satellite orbiting a planet, which you think could be Earth. It's like set in the future sometime when Earth has just been destroyed. And so the clicker part of it that, you upgrade as you go along is you get better spud farms and plantations and stuff. And you create like satellites called Spudnik. And there's a whole potato thing going on. And that all generates power. And as you generate more and more power, you can like scan the planet more. And there's a full-on story that goes along with it as well. And it's just a really fun, easy clicker to play because then it gets really wacky. Like we're talking like interstellar levels of time dilation and exploration. And you eventually, I don't want to give anything away, but you kind of start messing with the solar system, if you want to call it that. And and yeah, it's just a really fun game. Even if you don't like clickers, I'd say check it out because it kind of shows how you can make a clicker really interesting and really fun, even though it's still at the end of the day a clicker and nothing else.
The Steam page, and I love it so much. It says Spaceplan is an experimental piece of interaction based partly on a total misunderstanding of Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time.
Yep. That pretty much sums it up.
That's just perfect. It's I get nothing.
But that does sum up the tone completely because it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's actually interesting. It's not just completely stupid. So I always appreciate that. Like they are it's a bit of a parody of clicker games, but then also a bit of a parody of itself in that sense, being all scientific and science fiction-y and stuff, because at the end of the day, it is a clicker game. But yeah, it's very self-aware and humorous in that sense. And I would it's one I'm probably going to replay every now and then for a long time because, yeah, it's good fun, good times. One I finished just today, not long before recording actually, was The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which again is another game that a lot of people I'm sure have heard of. It's essentially a walking simulator, if you want to call it that, in the vein of your What Remains of Edith Finch or Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Gone Home, that sort of stuff, where you are walking around exploring a very beautifully realized landscape, except this one has a bit more interaction than some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, without giving anything away, it's a bit of a mystery, like the name suggests, the vanishing of Ethan Carter. And as you explore through this, through the map, I guess, you find different locations where things have happened, and then you can kind of recreate what's happened, and you have to kind of puzzle together the sequence of events. So the very first thing you come across, which is right at the beginning of the game, so it's not much of a spoiler, is you're walking along some railway tracks and you come across some blood and you go, oh, and you can like mark it as you come across it. And then you can see off to the side, there's like a blood trail that leads down a path to the side. And if you follow that, you end up finding a body with like a dude with his legs missing. And as you explore the area more, you kind of find out what happened to him and why, how he died and that sort of stuff. And the game kind of lets you piece it together. And if you get it right, it'll play you out a kind of scene that shows you what happened and solves the mystery of that particular instance. And then you keep exploring and you find more of these things and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's kind of like if Dear Esther was way more interactive. Even though I love Dear Esther, that it's a great game and there are interactive elements no matter what anyone says. There are things that you can do and or not do. There is some choice, as minor as it may be. This one is way more involved and there's way more choice and everything. There's even one section which goes into quite horror territory where if you get caught by some dude who's on the map, you essentially get killed and have to restart the section. So there is danger there as well. And that part kind of gave me the willies. But I got through it all right and, came out the other side and then it was fine. And that's the only part with actual danger and kind of interaction with another NPC, I should say. The rest are all solving mysteries of the story and finding out eventually what happened to the character Ethan Carter. And yeah, it's a satisfying game. It looks amazing. It's like a poster child for the Unreal Engine because the whole landscape and everything just looks really beautiful and high fidelity and really well put together. And
Yeah, like I'm looking at the screenshots over on the Steam page, and one in particular that really caught my attention is like, I guess the night one because it's all full, and it just looks stunning. Like I don't know what they did to get this level of beauty, but they did it.
Yeah, there's a lot of details that kind of that's why it kind of reminds me of games like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and that sort of stuff, because like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture in my opinion was an incredible looking game and looked almost photorealistic in parts as well, just on how detailed the textures are and all the different models and everything. And this one is pretty much the same. There are some scenes and areas where you just kind of go, wow, this looks photorealistic, basically. Like it could be literally real. So very good looking game. And I like the fact that it has a mystery wound in and you have to it's not too difficult, but you have to kind of like think about it a bit and actually solve something to progress. So at the end of the day, it's mostly about exploration though. So there's a lot of walking around and looking at stuff, although there is a button you can press to run. So you can go a bit faster if you choose to. Unlike Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. But yeah, that's all I completed this week. Although there's a few, or last couple of weeks, I guess, although there's a few things there, but that's it. So I'm done with that. Paula, tell us about the one game you completed.
Yeah, so I guess it was the other day when I was like, hey, so I'm quite indecisive of what to play next because I completed a route of the game I'm playing more on the lighter. And I wanted like a palette cleanser, or like just do something else for a bit. And I guess it was because I saw people playing Olympia Sode over on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never calling it X, by the way. So
No.
Fuck that. Um, and the thing is that the urge to play it, or like the intrusive thought was so strong that I ended up like replaying one of the routes in particular. So that is my completion for today. So since I haven't talked about this one in a while, I don't think I have to talk about it like in your presence, Josh. Um, I'm gonna go into this rabbit hole right now. So yeah, so in Olympia Soare, you play as Olympia or Byakuya, which is her real name, which she doesn't often reveal to anyone. And the thing about it is that she lives over on Tengu Island, which is like a main island where um, everything from where you live to who you can marry, or even like what you can do in life, is decided by color, or a color class, and
Mm.
is like each person has like what is called like color traits, like the color of their hair and their eyes and stuff like that. I think it's mainly that, like the color of hair and eyes. The thing is that in this island there are like what are called like primary colors, secondary colors, and then you have the the bite class, and then you have a couple more special classes to go with it. So I'm gonna go world building for a little bit. So the primaries are like the usual blue, yellow, and red. And the thing is that according to the mythos of the island, Lord Hiroku, which was an outsider, created all the primary color inhabitants of the island. So Blue was granted the power to return souls to the heavens, which is called Vatsu, which is a power that is very important because if there's like a rotting corpse, it will spread an illness called Haku. More on that later. So with the power of Vatsu, like the body pretty much like disintegrates and it leaves behind only a single uh, crystal stone which contains the soul, which is called a sho. Um, the yellow class was granted the power to hear Lord Hiroku's voice. So there's a building called Ishanaten, which is where usually most trials and like legal stuff takes place. And behind those curtains, there's Lord Hiroku, and it says that the only one that's able to hear his voice and talk to him during like the trials is the leader of the yellow class. In the case of this game, is Toma.
Mm.
And finally, the red got the short end of the stick, and they were bestowed cursed blood and land. And there's a whole reason why red is like pretty much like God's least favorite class, but that is kind of like spoilery and stuff. And also like the whole reason why the leader of the red class is Jigen, who is an outsider, like someone who was living outside of this island and got washed ashore. It's because outsiders usually bring like great knowledge to the island, and in the case of Lord Jigen, he actually knew like why the land was cursed, why it was kind of poisonous, and in turn he made it so he was able to mine whatever it was like making it poisonous and make something out of it and sell it. In the case of the yellow, Doma is another outsider, and he did another thing more on that later. But anyway, I'm digressing. I'm like getting sidetracked. So we also have like the primaries have like the most power on the island, but there are like less of them. You have the secondaries, which are vermilion, orange, jade, green, cyan, aqua, violet, purple, and fuchsia. And the thing is that when people get married and have kids in the island, like their colors or genetics mix in a way. So blue and like yellow can have like a blue or yellow kid or a green kid, or like what is called an Kawanotsu, which is the more I guess predominant class in the island. Uh, which where they take like a brown hue to their colors, so it's like it's not a primary, but and it's not a secondary, so they don't have like as much power, and they can't do a lot of things, and they do not have like power at all, but they still live under the sun. Sometimes rare color or like someone with multiple color traits appears, and those are sent to Yomi, which is like an underground city in the island, and they are like pretty much exiled as Bersi. So as you can see, the island is very, very classist. It has like a color class system, and if you don't have like pretty colors, or if you are like outside of the norm, uh, these very classist person people do not want to see you, so they send you to exile on Yomi. And finally, we have like two very special classes. So one of them is not naturally occurring. There's actually like a reason why it happens, but it is the black class, where people has like black hair and black eyes, even though they have like a shine to what used to be their class. I'm gonna say, but I kind of want to say why they're like that, but I can't. But anyway, so the thing with the black class is that people in the island are quite um I'm gonna say they do not like um the concept of darkness, mainly because of how the sun operates in the island. But whenever the sun goes out, it causes quite a stir, and not like in the sense of it turns to night. No, like the sun literally goes out. No sun
Right.
for you. So because of how black is kind of like related to darkness in a way, people like don't like the color, and the black class is like it has like the lowest class on the entire color class system. In the meantime, women of the white are they used to live on Tenio Island, which is a small island like just by Tengu Island. And they are supposed to be like daughters of the goddess Amaterasu. And they do dance and pray to the sun and try to keep with their powers like the sun shining over the island. So they are like a very special class, and it is said that only women with white color, like white skin, white hair, and white eyes are born to the white.
Right.
And but since there's the need to continue on this particular color class, because otherwise the sun wouldn't shine. And there's the legend of the lunar fairy, where a little white mouse would live and eat a flower, which is a flower that only grows on that particular island, on the doors of selected men, and they would go like to the island for a night and then go back, and everything seems like like a dream in a way, so they don't usually remember what happened there, but sometimes they do. But yeah, that's the overcomplicated color class of the island, and that's just the setting. So
Yep.
Olympia, who is the last survivor of the white because of a calamity that took place in the island 13 years ago, just turned 18, which is like the age at which women are considered adults. For men, it's 20, and pretty
Interesting.
much like the
Just that's interesting.
so pretty much like the leader over like the I forgot the name of it, but it was like the leader over at the pretty much like the building that is supposed to try to record everything on the island and try to keep everything in order. He was like, "Hey, you have a year to find your husband, and because we kind of need more people of the white here, otherwise you're fucked." Which she doesn't take quite kindly, but still. So, in a way that like the whole game is like Byakuya or Onampia, like going out of the of, of the of the yellow mansion where she was where she grew up after the age of 5, just try to find her husband. The thing is that once you've been sheltered and know nothing of the world and probably didn't interact with many people during your stay there, getting to know people is quite difficult. So uh, she manages at some point to meet like new people and stuff like that, but still like the process, like the first step to get out of there and try to meet people is quite difficult, because since she's like the only remaining one from the white, either people like had her on a pedestal because she's quite rare and she makes the sun shine and stuff like that, or they just try think she's hideous or scary because there's an illness called haku, which will usually make a person like lose all their color, like, and also their body parts start like rotting and falling off. And since it doesn't have like a proper cure yet, like there are 2 treatments, only it works only like 50% of the time, and even then you're not going to recover whatever you lost to the illness. And the other one, it is very effective, but most people don't want the side effects.
Right.
So yeah, like people either fear her because of they remind them of Haku, or they think if they anger her, something's gonna happen and stuff like that. So there's like this overall like trying to fit in but not quite, and stuff like that. So finally, like I'm gonna do like a quick summary of all the rats because holy crap, this is taking too long. So in the case of Akasa, who is like the next in line of to be the leader of the red, he is like the locked route. Like you have to do every other route before being able to play his route. Mainly because it has to do with the mythos of the island, and also he has like a special kind of perspective on how things go here. Not gonna go into it too much. But then you have Riku, which is the route that I actually went through. And you have, since the blue are the ones like sending off people to the heavens pretty much, they have pride on their color, and they try to keep it at all cost, even at the cost of their blood being so quote unquote pure that it causes stillbirth. And they are quite classist in a way. Because of course they given like this wonderful gift from the gods, so they are like special little snowflakes and stuff like that. And anyway, like the blue is like the pinnacle of we have this, so we're not trading it for anything. But also Riku has like very special circumstances in which you could say Yomi is calling out to him in a way because of his past, but he's supposed to be like the perfect little Blue that is gonna be the next leader of the Blue. So he has like tradition to uphold in a way. So the pressure is there for him. On the other side of the spectrum, you have Kudova of the Black, which is who is a doctor that works at this very organization that told Byakuya to get married soon, please. But also like he's like at the bottom of the food chain in this island, very much. So you see things from his perspective and how he was able like to get the hell out of there, and to have like to earn like some his place in the island. But also you see like the amount of discrimination that he faces because of the fact that he's of the darkness class. You also have Tokisada of the Green, who is an outsider of the island. So in a way, you learn a little bit more about the island itself, and also like a little bit of what happens or how people and things get washed ashore on the island. Then you have Himuka, who is like, wait, I'm missing someone here. I am missing someone. What have here? Okay, so it's Kurofas, it's Riku, so it's Tokisada. Yosuga. So Yosuga, it's technically from the purple class, but he has been exiled to Yomi, and he's also like the last remaining person of the original purple class. And he manages like the I'm gonna say like he manages like the a bathhouse over on Yomi, but in a way he has like a lot of power on Yomi because reasons. You see things from in his route. You see things like from a secondary color class, but also you can see things from someone who lives on Yomi like permanently. And you get to know a little bit more about what happened, like why the Red Calamity was a thing, and other things that are like being passed around as urban legend, but actually have a foundation on things that happen pertaining to purple cause. Okay, and then you have Himuka's route, which is locked behind 4 routes, pretty much. And this one is a doozy. It is so much centered around like the mythos and stuff like that of the island. So it doesn't have like as much romance as the other routes, but still, the route is very well written. It also gives another insight on the actual, I don't want to say origin of the island, but kind of like the origin of the island. So yeah, that is like the overall picture of Olympia Soare. I just replay Riku's route because I have like a strong urge to do so, and I love this route so fucking much. Like he's like a little there, but also like in this route, like Josuga and another side character called Camellia, like they just stick their nose into their relationship between Olympia and Riku so much. I love it because they're like, oh, so this happened. Oh yeah, so we're gonna see this from like watch this for a little while, and then we'll jump into action and just play Wingman and Wingwoman. So they're hilarious in this route. I love them so much. So yeah, this route in particular is like the first that people usually play because it is like the recommended route order from the developers. It has more about like the blue class and stuff like that, rather than having stuff like from the very spoilery things from the island, I guess. Also, the stakes on this route compared to the stakes on other routes aren't like so so high, I guess. But I think this one is a particular favorite of mine because of various reasons. But yeah, that is Olympia Sorare. Sorry for the tech talk at this point.
So what I got from that was white is good, black is bad.
Hey, no. Anyway.
No, just kidding.
So one thing that I forgot to say about the game is that pretty much is Olympia like trying to being like very against everything in the island because since she lives in Tiny Island, she doesn't realize what really happens on Tengu Island. So it's like, hey, so it may be because I'm an outsider, but this is kind of fucked up. So yeah. Anyway,
no, I got that idea as well. I just it was just funny to me that white is good, black is bad.
Yeah. Though, like, there's a lot of people that unironically just stick to that point and miss the point of the game. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what have you retired recently?
Well, speaking of potentially cringe things,
wait, what? What does that mean?
Like black and white dichotomies, and anyway, so there's a game called Hatred, which came out a while ago, which is like Edgelord Simulator 101, and it gained a lot of attention when it came out because it was essentially there's no nice way to put it, but essentially after a bunch of school shootings in the US, this game came out where it was basically a dude going postal and shooting civilians and things in his town.
Ooh.
To gain points, and then shooting up cops and shooting up malls and burning down houses and all this kind of thing. And that's what the game is. And it's this game called Hatred. And it had this really edgelordy trailer when it came out where there's like this dude with heaps of guns in his house and he's got a real gritty voice and he's like, nobody understands. I'm going to cleanse the world of all these sheep and, all this kind of incel crap basically. And blah, 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 blah. That was a long time ago. Never thought about it really. But a friend of mine played it recently and said, as from a game perspective, forget the theme and everything, it's actually a bit of fun. And I'm like, all right, I like twin stick shooters, which is essentially what it is. Like, if I had to pick a favorite genre that actually it would be up there, put it that way, twin stick shooters, I just love them. So I thought, I'll give it a go because it seems like it could be good from a gameplay level, not from a design level. Mm-hmm. and it's just so bad because they're just trying to be controversial as well. Like, they're not even making a good point with the game. It's just gratuitous cringe edgelord shit that perhaps they could have made a good point with or something, I don't know, but they definitely didn't. So it ends up just being a bit boring, and I didn't even finish the first level because it was just kind of crap, and after the first couple of minutes you get really bored and put off by the entire theming of the whole thing. So yeah, I don't recommend anyone trying it. I don't recommend anyone ever bothering with it out of morbid curiosity. Like, if something's that controversial as well, it kind of makes me interested for better or worse. Like, all I'll say is that I didn't pay for it because I wasn't going to. So, there's that. But yeah, you couldn't pay me to play this game any more than I did. So I happily retired Hatred this week.
Which is a sentence.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing in life and in video games.
Yeah.
So, it's all coming up, Josh. But I have started playing a few things as well, which are just a few things that I'd like to mention. I randomly found a game on my Amazon account called Super Adventure Hand that just looked stupid and fun. And that's pretty much what it is. You play as a hand that has to make their way through a series of levels that are kind of like obstacles, very kind of 3D platformy, but in a fun way. And like the enemies are feet that are jumping around throughout the map. And if they catch up to you, they'll kick you and you'll go flying away. It kind of plays as if you're a spider though, because your hand kind of jumps around and will like grip on stuff and then like walk around like a spider. And it's just a bit of dumb fun. Like, there's no, unlike games like Hatred or something, like Super Adventure Hand is not trying to even pretend like it's got a story. It's just hey, this is some fun stuff to do. Let's do that. So I kind of enjoy it. It's very much a pure gameplay experience, and there are like collectibles to collect on each level, which mean you have to go out of the way. There's different upgrades you get. Like instead of hats, you get watches. So you can see that there's a watch on your wrist as you run around. And
That makes so much sense, but it sounds so kind of dumb and I love it.
well, and it's got a few cute things as well. Like after the first couple of levels, you get your first watch. And then because you've now got a watch, you get a timer for each level, which didn't exist before you actually got a watch. So you can speed run it and stuff, and you get graded for how quickly you get through it and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just a dumb game that was free on Prime, and I'm enjoying. So there's that. Additionally, I started playing Cube Escape Paradox, which obviously is the next in the Cube Escape / Rusty Lake series that I've been playing. It seems quite a long one so far because I've started playing it and it seems like I haven't barely scratched the surface, really.
Yeah.
Which is cool. We've spoken a lot about these games on here over recent times because we've been playing through them. So I don't really have much to say other than it's more Rusty Lake stuff. And yeah, it's a bit creepy in parts as usual. It's a bit kind of weird in parts as usual, but it's a whole lot of fun. And it's very enjoyable to figure things out and see what's hiding around the corner kind of thing. But yeah, haven't got very far with that one yet. But hopefully I'll have it finished soon because I'm enjoying it anyway. And then, yeah, after New Year's and everything, I finally got back to playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my friends who I've been co-oping with. And not that I have heaps to add other than a few funny stories, because we basically got to a point where there was a bit of, shall I say, tentacle porn involved. For anyone who's played the game, you might know what I'm talking about. For anyone who hasn't, I'm not going to spoil it any more than that. Let's just say we were the three, because you get these cutscenes that are like shared, but then you get cutscenes that are private. And in this one, it was like, regularly you get cutscenes that are private. It doesn't mean they're funky or anything. It's just like something particular for your character. So no one else can watch it. They're probably watching their own version of the same thing. And so we're used to all that. And one of them starts and we're like, oh, okay, cool. And we're all just silently watching these cutscenes. And then you could see how out of sync we were because each one of us is like, oh no, oh Lord. and yeah, we kind of found that a bit exciting. But there was also another bit where I managed to have my, I've got it written on my board. I had my 7th death because I walked into a basement and just kind of strolled through and failed a perception check and ran into a trap that made the whole place explode. So
nice.
It just went kaboom and everything blew up and I died and everyone else was upstairs going, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I might be a bit dead down here.
Don't worry, I'm just being unalived in this very moment.
Yep. So thankfully, my friends resurrected me and we got back to it. That's my 7th resurrection, I think. So, but yeah, the game continues to be very much the same sort of deal. It's wacky and frustrating and fun and everything all together when you're playing co-op, because as always, there's 3 different people with different ideas of things to do. So that's fun, but it's kind of annoying sometimes, but it's the way it goes. And, I'm enjoying it either way. And we're kind of edging very slowly towards what I think will be roughly the end game, because we've been in the actual city of Baldur's Gate now for quite a while. But we've been doing a lot of things because, of course, this game, everywhere you go, there's heaps to actually do. And there's heaps of NPCs to meet and things to explore and side quests and everything. Down to the fact that even there was one thing we did last time, which was we like to talk to animals. So we were talking to pretty much every animal we come across. And we met a few cats who were like worshipping some other cat.
Okay.
And constantly trying to get us to start worshipping the cat as well. So we're like kind of lying to it going, yeah, we're worshippers of that cat. And then we actually met the cat that they're talking about. And she's like, you are my loyal subjects. And it's just a cat in a building. But it's very cat-like because that's what my cat would say if I could talk to her. So
definitely.
you know, there's a lot of fun stuff like that, which, yeah, it's still a fun game. It's just one of those games where it's just so big and complex that there's so much good about it, but there's so many issues with it as well. Like the latest bug that we've been experiencing is some rendering bug with NPCs' character models where their face will look fine, but they'll have like a big line of their cheek or something just going off into the distance.
Oh
Like they've
no.
like a Pinocchio nose, but like coming out the side of their face and like going literally like almost forever, like through buildings and everything. And when you talk to them, it kind of flickers in and out, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Like one
Like, sir, I believe
of
something's wrong
the
with your
vertex
face.
over on their face is like, I don't know, in the other side of the game or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the first time we saw it, there was just this thing like floating around in the environment, and we're like, "What the hell is that? Like, that's just some weird glitch or something." And we kind of followed it and found it was attached to this dude's face, and and it was just something on his face that had obviously glitched out and rendered funny, and yeah, just shot off into the distance. And
Beautiful.
so you know, there's all that kind of stuff, but yeah, ultimately it's fun. But I'm kind of hoping we're getting towards the end game, because as much as we do tend to spend a lot of time doing everything other than the main thing, it would be nice to kind of get there.
At
Because we're
some
already like
point.
100 and something hours into it. So, but we're max level now as well. Last time when we were playing, we actually hit level cap, which I think is only level 12, but that's where we're at. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. Bit of weirdness, bit of fun, but yeah, hopefully I'll finish a couple of those before next time and have some other things to talk about.
Oh.
What about you? You've been playing a couple of things, I see.
Okay, so I was playing Virishana Rising Power of Kempe. And the thing about this game is that it is historical fiction. So if you look up the name of some of the characters, you'll actually see that there are like real. There were real people at some point in Japan. So
Cool.
in the case of this game, I forgot to look up like the actual setting, historical setting behind it. But since it is a historical setting game, that means like each route more or less follows the same story bits in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been like trying to play a route of this and then like go and do another thing and then come out and play another route of it, because otherwise it will get a little bit samey, which happened to me with Hakuoki, which by the way, those are 12 routes. That is not okay, but it is also okay because I love a lot of the characters. But yeah. And so in Rise of Power of Kempe, I actually went through Noritsune's route, which was quite interesting because it was like, what's the name of that game where you kind of like pull this rope and try to make the other person like go past the middle?
Oh, tug of war.
Yeah, it's very much a tug of war at this point.
Okay.
Because because at some point it was like both Noritsune and Sanao are kind of like tied to their blood in a way. Like one of it's the possibly like the next leader of the Heka, and the other one is the last survivor of the um I forgot the name of it. Like each one, it's kind of like a representative of their own clan. So at some points of the story, it was like this tug of war where one of them would be like in a clear position, I guess, in terms of where they thought they were standing, and at other times it was like, hey, I actually don't know what I'm doing, and the other person kind of like drags the story along a little bit. So it's kind of like they're both trying to make like this final showdown happen, because they're like, Larson is kind of like the one that pretty much kickstarts all the story, because he's like, I want to fight you one on one, with nothing setting us back and stuff like that, because he he sees himself as a warrior, he sees Chanel as a warrior, and it's kind of like, I want this fight, I want this sword fight in particular. So it's kind of like the whole road, like they very much getting into that sword fight and getting interrupted, which is quite frustrating because like there's something about the writing on this or how they move the sprites around, I guess, in the screen. I use like everything they can, like sound effects, animations, and stuff like that, that makes you kind of like fit like it's just sprites moving on a screen, but in your mind it's like, oh, this is an actual fight and it's epic. So
Cool.
and in that sense, it's like you almost want them to be able to have this one fight, which, by the way, the CG you actually get from the final chapter is like chef kiss. Like they did some really good job there. But anyway, so it's kind of weird because first of all they were like, I want to fight you just as Natsune, I want to fight you just as Shanao. But then things happen and they have to take almost leadership of their respective routes, and it's like, okay, we cannot fight just as people. But we're fighting as pretty much like with the whole clan on our backs in a way. As I said, Chanel eventually, like Chanel is a woman in in the case of the game. It wasn't the case in the actual history books, but it is in the game because fuck it, they can do it.
Yeah, cool.
And eventually the cat comes out of the bag because reasons. Like you can see that there are people in the game that is like they know, but they don't say anything. So they just have fun with it. It's like they know. She knows, like they know that she knows that they know, but also that they know that she doesn't want them to know. So in a way, like they're just clowns that try to what? Okay.
Actually heard that meow.
So yeah, but anyway, like they're like very interesting situations that come from people knowing and just being an ass about it in a way, or trying to teach the protagonist about it, uh, which is kind of fun. And so, but it is done in a way that it isn't like I guess out of character, or like it doesn't take you out of the story, I guess. But anyway, the whole story like explains like these clans, like pretty much like the Heike clan finally moving and trying to dominate Japan because they can, and then you have like the other clan like trying to control them because fuck no, you you could rule Japan if you were like so such big of an ass with the rest of the population. That and in this other clan like that is trying to beat the Heke clan, there's like quite a bit of infighting because one of the lords that control the army is kind of like a piece of shit. So so the other lords aren't like as happy about it. So that led to a bit of infighting, and then suddenly Chana was in the other side of the war, and it was like, okay, this is fine. Everything is burdened, but this is fine. And then eventually Chana like goes back to her actual spot in the war. Like she she finally takes the army against the Hege and had like this very epic final battle. Think they're dead and very much like run away. It's like, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with this shit anymore. So yeah. Those
Nice.
are my very unorganized thoughts about British Anna so far.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, you can call it that. The as I said, this route in particular felt like a tug of war in a way, um, but in a good and in a bad way, because in a good way because like not like both characters had the plot moving forward, but also it felt a little bit unorganic in some points.
Mhm.
But I guess but other than that, like the characters were quite well written in my opinion.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to the next route, which is I think it was Benke, which is the person they were actually looking for because he was like beating the asses of a lot of Heke and rubbing their swords and stuff like that. So I want to know what's up with that particular character. I might look into the actual history and try to bring something to the table regarding that. But anyway, the other game that I played was Magica 2.
Nice.
And I played this one with my girlfriend. It is a co-op from 1 to 4 players um, game where each of you take control of a wizard and beat the crap out of enemies with them. The thing is that there's 8 elements in the game, and you can mix them up however you want. You can apply your spells either to other people in the form of a beam of magic, or you can use the spells on yourself with varying degrees of mortality. And actually mixing those two up with a controller is quite easy, so I might have unalived myself a couple of times in that way.
Nice.
There's 8 elements, which you toggle with between them with the press of a button in the controller. So you have life and death, water, fire, ice, earth, lightning, and shield. Yeah.
Right.
So you usually are able to make, I guess, reactions happen in a way when you're applying. When 2 players are applying, sorry, spells like to the same target. There are sometimes you want to be able like to mix the spells yourself because they're opposites. Like I think you can't mix up ice and fire or life and death. But for
Yeah.
example, if one of you uses fire and the other one uses water, you can create a steam.
Mm.
And or if you mix up death and water, you create poison, which is another. It is another element, pretty much, that you can mix up with other things. You can also mix up ice with water to create like pretty much icicles that you can throw to your opponents. And there are like a certain, because you can like kind of like mix up spells before you throw them, and you
Mm-hmm.
can mix up a sequence up of like 5 spells. You can like make it like so it's 5 fire spells to say something, and then just release like a very powerful flamethrower. But if you use like, I think it was like fire, rock, fire, you make like a dragon meteor attack when you throw them to your enemies. And you can also like just combine a number of elements. I think it was like water, life, and something else, and you can revive your fallen party members. And there
Nice.
are like a lot of combinations that you can use, like even if you know things are gonna get dangerous, because sometimes we love to there's a third way to apply your spells and it is like in almost like an explosion or like an area of effect around you. So
Mm.
I don't know, you may want to use like a shield that protects you against lightning if you know you're gonna use a lot of lightning in your next fight, because friendly fire is a thing.
Yeah.
Friendly fire is a thing. So that's quite fun.
I've seen bits of this game played online because it's quite old, I think. Like it's been around a while.
Yeah.
and every time I've seen it played, it's just like total chaos, and everyone's dying, including your teammates, and because they're just like someone
Especially
explodes
your
something
teammates.
and everyone dies, and you're like, oh, whoops, and I meant to explode the bad guy. But yeah, it's just looks like fun chaos, and that's pretty much the whole point of the game.
Yeah, it is really fun chaos. Like we've been playing like just two of us with my boyfriend. I'm gonna have to buy the game on Steam to play with my boyfriend again because we played it like on Couch Co-op on PS5, which we don't have
Nice.
access to anymore. So I might need to buy the game for myself to be able to continue the 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 sheer chaos of the game, especially since there's more people in a group of friends that play it, so that could get very chaotic very quickly. But yeah, like it's not only that you kill your other teammates by accident. Sometimes I forget that I have a five times death charge on my spell, and instead of curing myself, I unalive myself. So that's fun too. And then it's like, hey, could someone please revive me, pretty please? Oh yeah, and a piece of advice: do not use lightning. Do not even try to use lightning if your character is wet or in water. That just calling for bad news. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. Why don't we jump then into our discussion topic of the week, trophy and achievement hunting.
Which, yes, has been talked about before on the podcast, but not when I'm here.
So yeah.
I mean, I just as a general kind of thing, and I don't consider myself much of a trophy hunter, but I do enjoy their existence because I feel like good trophies can help extend the life of a game because they point to different things that you might be able to do in the game that perhaps aren't essential to completing the game. So I do have a few platinums under my belt and 100% of games and stuff, but I never really try to go for them unless I'm kind of loving the game anyway. So that's where I'm coming from. What about you?
Well, in my case, like my primary trophy hunting endeavors have been done on the Otome games because, well, when they were on beta, obviously there were trophies, and some of them were hilarious. Like, I don't know, especially in the Hakuoki games, like, I don't know who was in charge of naming those, but they did a chef kiss job. And it was like very fun to collect them. But also, like in Otome games in general, if you complete like if you get all the SGs, you get like everything in the glossary or dictionary and stuff like that. And if you see everything the game has to offer, you usually unlock a completion CG, which by the way I don't think Birchik had one. But you get a completion CG that is a special piece of art, usually bigger than your average CG with all the characters and doing something silly. Or
Cool.
just looking very, very cool. So I do enjoy to bits getting all the CGs just because I love seeing all the art of the game, but also like getting that one special CG because it is usually sometimes it's not even like in the style of the game. Like the Cafe Enchanté one, it was like in a style like that closely matches that one of Persona 5.
Right.
Which makes sense because it came out when Persona 5 was very popular in Japan. Like, so yeah, like having the surprise of what awaits you after completing everything is it's amazing in my opinion. And I'm actually very, very sad when there's like that one outlier like Virtue who that doesn't have it. I do complete some other games that are not Otome games. Like, well, I tried completing Breath of the Wild, but holy crap, I no way in hell I'm gonna get all those correct seats. But I was only missing like about 400 correct seats in that game. But anyway,
Oh, only 400.
only 400. I was halfway through though. But in the case of other games like the not the Great King and not the Cruel King and the Great Hero, the other one, the Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. They actually had a little trophy system inside of the game, because I played this on Switch, so we didn't have like proper achievements. But it not only it gives you like a little badge of, hey, you got this. You also unlocked a page of the concept art book that was implemented inside of the game, and that is just cool. I love it so fucking much. So yeah.
Is it cool that it's locked behind a trophy or something?
I mean, it gives you a reason to go hunt for it.
Yeah.
Like, it gives you like an actual cool thing besides just bragging rights at that point.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's a good point. Because it makes me think of one of the things that I like about trophies is, or, achievements. I say trophies because I'm more of a PlayStation gamer. But it kind of can point to things that you might not have known about in a game, especially like multiple endings and stuff, where if it's a game that does have multiple endings or missable things that you might not have seen, it's fun looking at the trophy list and going, oh, maybe I could try that and do that a bit differently and see that ending, because I like that kind of stuff where it can kind of hint at different ways to play the game. Like I like in I'm thinking of games like Infamous, I think is a good one, and maybe like the Spider-Man games, like third-person action kind of games where you'll get a trophy for certain combat things. I think Batman Arkham Asylum did it as well, where if you did a certain set of moves or that kind of thing, you got a trophy for it. So I like those sorts of things because it makes you kind of think about it a bit more. And, if you pay attention to what the trophies are, because otherwise you could probably just button mash, but it actually gets you to try doing more difficult things or, having fun with it as well. Like I think there was some game, I can't remember what it was, but you got like a trophy for doing something stupid, like throwing a dude off a cliff or something when you didn't have to. And like things like that I really enjoy because it just kind of adds some flavor to the game that, might not have otherwise been there.
Yeah, in the case of, for example, Persona 4 and Persona 4 Dancing All Night, like in Persona 4 it is JRPG, turn-based battles, etc. But it gives you like a little bit of a hint of things you can do in a way. But also in Persona 4 Dancing All Night, since it is a rhythm game, it has like things specific of using like certain I'm gonna say power-ups or like extra challenges to each music track, so you can get very interesting combinations that you might not thought of when you first started playing the game. Since I mainly play JRPGs and stuff like that on Nintendo Switch, I don't usually get achievements that hints at stuff that I could be doing. But I do remember in Tokyo Mirage Session Star FE on the Wii U, it had like a trophy room inside of the game. So it was like, hey, try to do this in this way, or like I don't remember like the game terminology, but it was like pretty much like do a combo in this particular way and achieve this, and it was like, oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
So I get that. I do not get that as often because since I'm playing like most of my action things in consoles that do not have achievement system, it's kind of sad, but it's still a lot of fun to just look through those. Even if you're using like this, you're playing like the Switch version, it's kind of fun to see like what the PlayStation trophies look like.
Yeah, well, and I'm thinking of I'm just having a look at some of my 100% of games on Steam, just because obviously I've done all the achievements, and some of them pop to mind, like What Remains of Edith Finch, where the trophies in that / achievements are basically they're very missable, really. Like you can miss each one. because the way What Remains of Edith Finch works is that you play through a series of different stories. So basically there's an achievement for each story that you only get if you do something that's probably a bit out of the norm. So just minor spoiler, one of the first stories you get is you play a little girl who basically turns into a cat and then turns into an eagle and then turns into a tentacle monster. And the part where you're this tentacle monster, like you're kind of on a ship and you are grabbing people and eating them. And as you're cruising through the ship, there's a captain, I think, or there's a sailor at least, who's like singing a song. And one of the achievements you get is called Let Him Finish, and it's let the drunken sailor finish his song. So if you let him finish singing before you eat him, and it takes like a good minute or something, like it's a full song, it's a sea shanty kind of thing, and then you kill him, you get that achievement. And so I like stuff like that where it kind of highlights things you can do like differently, or, you know, it's not necessarily difficult, but you might not think to do that otherwise. Like, you're not going to sit and just listen to some dude singing a song in that game. You probably just go straight up and eat him and progress, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It forces you to kind of take a step back and like appreciate what you're doing for a second. So I like that kind of thing. Alternatively, there's one achievement in Gone Home, which is to finish the game within like some ridiculous amount of time. It's like 12 seconds or something, because you can do that, and I have done it. But basically, if you know what you're doing when you start the game, you can basically go straight to the end and finish the game within, no time at all, like a minute it could be or something like that. And I hadn't really thought about it until after I'd finished the game, and then I looked at the trophy list and I was like, oh, so you can do that, can you? So I'm going to give it a go, because once you've played the game, you can kind of figure out how to do that, because you know where the game ends and you know how to get there, and, you know, that kind of thing. But before that, you've got no idea, because you have to kind of play the game to learn that stuff anyway along the way. And that kind of stuff I think is fun, because it's kind of, to me, that's the developers going, yeah, you can do this if you know what you're doing, but chances are you're not going to the first time you play. So, you know, it's fun that it's always been there, even though you didn't do that because you didn't know what you were doing. So
Yeah.
that stuff is fun.
I'm actually looking at the trophy list on Kingdom New Lands.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget like some of these achievements. Like one of them is like for 5 days I turned the other cheek, and like you didn't kill anything for 5 days. And I can't remember how I got that one, but I'm pretty sure it was almost an accident. There are like other ones that by the 6th day I was rich, that you had by the 6th day you had more gold than you could carry. And there are like others that are like build the boat and escape on the first dawn before they 10, or like get the what is this? Heraldic achievement. Have a rain that spans 5 lands. Oh, I didn't get that because I died on Island 5. And I had to use like another monarch to do that one. So yeah, like there are like things that are like just holy crap, survive day 100. No, that is not gonna happen, my dude. But there are like silly achievements that are like like for example, never gallop until day 9, or like or wait or intentionally wait to start your camp to the 3rd day and stuff like that. But there are like others that are like, yeah, try to escape the island as quick as possible.
Yeah. Well, and I think those sorts of ones that kind of either challenge you a bit as well, like they make you do something that intentionally then makes it harder to play without choosing a harder difficulty or anything. Like you say, like, you know, don't build anything for the first few days and see if you can survive, kind of thing. Like that's kind of fun, I think. Or I like silly ones as well that are easily missed. Like recently I mentioned I played a game called Dangeresque, the Rumisode Triangulate, which is a strong bad game. And because it's a bit of a comedy game, you can actually, as you're playing it, it's a point and click, and it uses a very old school kind of point and click style where you use verbs to interact with things. So you can use something, you can take something, you can talk to something, you can, do that kind of stuff to interact with things. So you can talk to every interactable object in the game. And if you do, you get an achievement.
Nice.
And there's lines of dialogues and every dialogue recorded for everything you talk to as well. So it's down to talking to your filing cabinet when you're in the office, and talking to your lamp and your chair and just everything you can talk to. and of course, the main character says a line and it's kind of funny, and he gets in arguments with inanimate objects and stuff. And it's kind of entertaining, but because I'd seen that was an achievement, I made sure that I was talking to every single thing throughout the game, and it just added to the enjoyment of the game because it was just funny and silly as well, and made it even better in my view.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely wasn't challenging, I'd say.
There's also those tongue-in-cheek achievements that just make fun of you in a way. So in the game We Were Here, which is pretty much a escape room kind of game that you play with a friend, I got the achievement called Worst Friend Forever because I got out and left my friend, aka my boyfriend, behind because I didn't realize that he couldn't get out without me at the very end of the game. Or like I thought that there was like something like at the end of that channel that I could use to help him. So I was like, "Hey, I'll be right back," and I got the achievement was Worst Friend Forever because I left him to rot. And actually, I think he got like a companion achievement.
Nice. I like it when they do that with co-op stuff.
Yeah,
like one of you might get one achievement and the other person gets the other one because it's on the other end of the deal kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's been some of those in like Baldur's Gate as well, not necessarily like related like that, but there have been playing co-op. There's what your achievements are tied to your character, which is kind of nice because even though the other guys that I've been playing with have done stuff and got achievements for things that they've done, I haven't personally got those achievements because my character didn't do that. So in a way, it's kind of fun. I like that because I don't like we'll get into bad achievements, but the ones I hate are the ones that you don't really earn or you don't really do anything to get.
Oh, or the ones that are completely random.
Yeah, and I don't want to get an achievement for something that my friend did while I was playing a game with them. Like unless it directly affects me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So something like what you're saying that my friend left me for dead is kind of a fun achievement to get. So you're like, now I'll always remember. But I think as far as like why it's interesting anyway is I think because like we've been talking about, a lot of it is just stuff that adds to the fun factor of playing the game, and adds a little bit of a different idea to how to play the game perhaps and make it entertaining. That's perhaps not obvious. It's almost like having someone sit with you and go, "Hey, try that," and then you go, "Oh yeah, that was fun. That's a good idea. Let's do that again." But then there's bad ones. Like I kind of get a bit pissed off if I load up a game and start the game, and within like 30 seconds, a trophy pops saying you've started the game.
Those are so dumb.
They make me mad. Like talk about starting the game on the bad foot for me. Like you just throw a trophy at me that goes ding as soon as I've started. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. And it's nice to have progression trophies in a way, but there are some games I've played where pretty much everything you do that you can't avoid doing, it like dings a new trophy. And it just gets annoying after a while because you're like, I'm not even doing anything for this. And it just constantly taking me out of the game a bit because I'm playing away, and then boom, that little window pops up and you're like, oh, you've got a trophy. It's like, oh, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Those are like, why even put an achievement there? It's like, at this point, it's just to see like the amount of players that buy the game and actually start the game.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, because I guess it is used as a measure of seeing how far people get through the game, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if it's like related to chapters and progression. Yeah. And it's always the way with those achievements towards the end of the game. You can see are like 5% of players have got this.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? Well, like there's one game I saw when I was looking through my list called Feather, which is just a little indie game where you fly around as a bird, or a number of birds for that matter. And it's got one achievement, and it's when you finish the game, and it's literally a thanks for playing achievement. Like when you hit the credits, you get this achievement which says thanks for playing our game.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I was looking at it, and only about 80% of players have got that achievement. So it means that the other 20% own the game but haven't played it or haven't finished it. So
True. Yeah, I'm trying to find. There you go. There's like the one that is like the completion one that you got all the other trophies.
mm,
And I actually got that one for Hakuoki Adult Blossoms. It says all trophies for Adult Blossoms obtained.
nice.
3.5% of the players have this achievement.
Yep.
So yeah, like you can see like not many people like actually go through it. And now that I'm looking at it, like even like just getting one of the endings, because there there's like an achievement for getting like the good ending for a particular character. The highest it is like 40% of people got this particular ending. And it's like, well, I guess not many people play multiple routes then.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I also, like, for me, if the achievements are too difficult, I don't bother chasing them, because unless I want to, unless I'm really loving the game.
Oh
Like
yeah, definitely.
I think it was Horizon, the first game, I 100%ed that, and there were a few achievements in that which I thought were going to be more difficult than they actually ended up being, because they were kind of like get gold medals and all the trial things, and you have to kind of do certain things perfectly to get the best score and stuff. And that sort of stuff I normally avoid because it's just usually just too difficult, and I couldn't be bothered really, because you have to kind of practice what you're doing and repeat it a few times to get it right and all that kind of stuff. And I tend to avoid those sorts of trophies just because I avoid that kind of stuff in games anyway. Like if I have to repeat myself too much, I'm not having a good time. So, but that's then a testament to that game, because it shows that I was obviously really enjoying that game enough to repeat it and practice parts and get it right to get those trophies. So I don't mind a challenging trophy. I just tend to not go for them unless I'm really loving the game. So,
and how about the trophies that say in which way did you died?
yeah, they're always fun.
They're really very fun. Like, oh my god, I was looking at the ones from What Lies in the Multiverse. And there's one that says, my planet needs me. Die by falling up into the sky.
There's some good ones like that in the Civilization games and like Beyond Earth and those sorts of games, where depending on your victory or defeat, you might get a trophy if it fits certain conditions, where it's not necessarily serious or anything. It can be quite silly, but yeah, maybe as playing as this empire, you got defeated by some other empire, which is like unlikely in the real world, but happens in the game. You might end up just getting a trophy for that because it's kind of stupid. So
Yeah.
like, being Gandhi and dropping nukes kind of thing. Like, I don't know if there is a trophy for that, but it's one of those sorts of scenarios.
Actually, let me check, because I have Civilization 5 here. Excuse me, how many trophies does Civ 5 have?
Well, exactly. There's a lot. There's not one that I would ever think of completing.
Holy crap. Oh no. I was thinking, hey, maybe I can look like a particular one, but there's 200 plus achievements on this thing. I don't think I'm strong enough to do this.
No, not me. But Paula, I want to ask you, what is your greatest trophy / achievement, as in perhaps maybe the most difficult one you've achieved or something to that effect? But
That is actually a very good question, because I had no idea. Let me think
or
a little bit.
even the most fun.
Um, well, I guess some of the most fun are like the ones from What Lies in the Multiverse, because when I discovered by dying I could unlock an achievement, I have like a little laugh, a little chuckle on what my friends thought was a good name for the trophy. I'm sorry, that kid died many times.
Nice.
Um, those have to be like some of the most fun but unfun at the same
Mm.
time that I have, like trying to do achievements.
Entertaining at the least.
Yeah, they were quite entertaining. Um, I think let me look at Islanders, because I think one of the most difficult ones was from that game. Um, let me check that real quick. I don't know. I actually don't know. Uh oh, it's probably there's there's a trophy called Puzzle Solver. Um
Mhm.
I don't know that I have exactly 100 points, but um was it in Islanders, or was it in a similar game that I think about it? But it was like something about the lines of try to place this one building and have it be like this amount of points. Like
Mm.
it was something about among the lines that I had to prepare quite a bit before being able to get the amount of points that the achievement called for. Um,
Yeah.
and it was quite challenging. But actually, let me check for Baba Is You, because I think why is it hitting? Oh, I used to hide my completed games before I realized I could do other things.
I think there's some weird ones in Bubba Is You.
Yeah, I don't think I got a lot of the Baba Is You ones. But
Mm.
probably like the other ones that I was like quite proud with is were the ones from the Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, because I do remember that there's a level that you could skip completely, like doing like you could get like the easy out of it, um but actually solving the level was another story. So I guess like solving that particular level without a guide um was pretty much like the one of my crown jewels over there. Oh no, never
Yeah.
mind. This the one that the most proud of is the one
Mm.
from Papers, Please. Glory to our Tosca. I managed to ignore all the ASIC requests and work dutifully, and didn't die in a
Nice.
process or got incarcerated. So yeah, that is my proudest achievement right there.
Very good. Very good.
How about you?
Well, I know what I guess it's a bit of a cop out to use a platinum trophy, but I ended up getting the platinum trophy for Burnout Paradise on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that one always sticks into my brain is because there was a bunch of multiplayer trophies included in that.
Oh.
And usually if I look at a trophy list and it's got, win a multiplayer match or something, I'm like, yep, I'm out, not playing. Because I'm not going to do that. And my chances of winning are not very high. But there was a bunch of those in Burnout Paradise, and I happened to play enough of Burnout Paradise that I did play a fair bit online as well after I'd finished the career mode or the single player stuff. And yeah, I actually did okay. And there were a couple of trophies in that which involved coming first in certain events. And I managed to achieve it once or twice enough to get the trophy for them. And yeah, 100% of that game, which was, I remember actually spending a lot of time trying to do stuff. And there's some stuff in that game where you have to do specific stunts and things in certain areas, which
Mm-hmm.
could be quite hard because you have to do like I don't know, I'm making this up, but like a 1080 flat spin as you jump off the bridge in a certain car and land it and not crash. And you end up doing it about 50 times until you actually manage to nail it because it's quite a hard maneuver or whatever. And I remember doing that. And or like you have to do a barrel roll through this particular tube in your car kind of thing, and yeah, stuff like that. So that I think that's my most, like, if I was to be proud of anything, that would be the one that I'm like, yeah, that actually took some skill. So I'm kind of happy I got it, because most of the time I wouldn't have bothered. But just goes to show how much I enjoyed that game, I guess. So and that's what it boils down to for me, is like, do I really enjoy this game? Do I really want to keep playing it over and over to maybe achieve these things? And obviously with Burnout Paradise, I did. So yeah, that's probably the best one for me. But I think to go the opposite way, the trophies and achievements that I really don't like or will never bother or even try to achieve are like New Game Plus ones, or
Oh yeah, no way in hell.
things tied to difficulty, where it's like, play it on the hardest level and don't die or something, and you're like, I don't think so. Like, I'm all down for a challenge, but that seems stupid.
Yeah, definitely. I don't usually go like for difficulty ones, or like I'm gonna say like things that happen once during your gameplay and you have that one chance to get the achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah, no luck. This ain't it, Chief.
Yeah, those like highly missable ones that you have to do some really obscure thing that you never would have even thought of, and if you don't do it, you're stuffed for the rest of the game. Like,
So yeah, like
yeah.
no way in hell. Those are like the kind of achievements that I would usually go out of my way to even avoid getting, because holy crap, I ain't no.
Well, and yeah, for me, it's mostly multiplayer stuff I avoid, because, like, well, like playing fighting games is a good one. I know it's going to take me forever to win like 50 fights to get that achievement.
Yeah.
Or I'm never going to win like 5 fights in a row to get another achievement. Like, these are ones I remember seeing in various games where I'm like, that's not going to happen. Or it ends up making you do really dumb stuff. Like, I remember in Street Fighter 4, there was an achievement for like finishing the single player career mode on the hardest difficulty. So I was never going to achieve that, but I did, because I figured out that if you use the character Zangief, and there was a very simple move where he just kind of spins around, I think it's like Zangief's Lariat, it's called, or something, and the AI just does not know how to deal with that move. So you can just basically do that over and over and over, even on the hardest level, and you'll win. So it doesn't work against real people, because there is a counter to it that real people know and can basically stuff you up if that's all you do. But the AI were stupid enough not to figure it out. So I did get the achievement for like finish Street Fighter 4 on the hardest difficulty, but only because I cheesed it. So it was kind of boring anyway. And it didn't make me feel good.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But that's why I think, yeah, in their best instance, like trophies and achievements are good ways to kind of add a bit of a fun dimension to a game, or add little hints at extra things you can do. But
Or
I think
just
at
a
worst,
silly little thing.
yeah, but I think like at worst they kind of make you grind or practice or feel like you're doing work.
Yeah.
Or are just completely pointless, like the ones that just get thrown at you for loading the game.
All this to the player, but maybe not so much to the developer. But anyway.
And I think we've all encountered, I mean, no shade on anyone, but some people do take them very seriously and want to kind of show off about, hey, I've got all these achievements. It's like, yeah, good for you. That sort of stuff has never really been my bag. It's not really what I'm into, If you are into it, that's cool. Like, rad, you're having fun. That's what games are for. So, but I've just never really been into that side of life either. So, yeah, I guess it's never been that important. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any final thoughts on that?
At the end of the day, the real achievements are the friends we made along the way. I'm sorry,
I know
had
you
that.
might say that. I could see that coming.
But yeah, I think we milked this topic as much as we could.
As always, listeners, if you'd like to weigh in with what your opinions are, please do, because it's always interesting to hear what other people think as well. But now, the time has come. We'll do a round of Guess the Game after this, but first of all, I have chosen a game that I'm going to get Paula to play. I don't think it'll be one that anyone really expects, but there are reasons behind it, which I will explain. And so if you've been playing along, we've completed, I think it was 20 rounds of our guessing game.
20 rounds.
And that left us with a score of, I think, 17 to 18 my way. So my prize for winning is that I can assign a game for Paula to play that is beneath or under my score was 18, so under 18 hours, if that makes sense.
And that has to be like the all times together kind of thing.
Yeah, going by the old playstyles time on how long to beat. So I'm going to take you through my thought process a little, because obviously I was looking for games that you haven't played, that I really enjoy, that I want other people to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of went through games that, well, first of all, I went back on games that I kind of chose as Game of the Year contenders for the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
Because I thought, well, I love those games, so I want other people to play them. And I found a couple which I was thinking about suggesting, but they're a bit short. Like the first one I thought of was Blackwood Crossing, which I think everyone should play anyway, because it's a fantastic story-based walking simulator narrative type game. But it only takes about 2 to 3 hours to finish. And I thought I can't really go that low because I've got 18 hours to play with. And then I thought about Observation, which is another game I really enjoyed. And it's an awesome sci-fi mystery weirdness adventure. And it's about 6 to 7 hours to complete, which is, not even half of the 18. So I kind of decided against that as well. Then I found one which made me think of you because your recent time with Papers, Please. And it's interesting you brought up Papers, Please with trophies as well and having achieved an interesting route on that. Because this game that I'm going to suggest is heavily inspired by Papers, Please. And is not necessarily the best game in the world, but an interesting game to play nonetheless, and a fun game, I think, nonetheless as well. And it's also on special right now, so that helps that it's kind of cheap. So the game I'm going to suggest that you play, and I'll probably replay at the same time, is the game Not Tonight.
Not Tonight.
This is a game where you play... Well, I'll read this blurb for people. In an alternative Britain where Brexit talks have collapsed, an extreme far-right government has taken power. Citizens of European heritage have been rounded up and exiled, forced out of your previous life. You find yourself in the midst of a booming gig economy, fighting to scrape by and return to the city you call home. So you're basically playing a bouncer at a number of different venues, and you have to look at everyone's papers and IDs and stuff and either let them in or not. Very similar to Papers, Please in that sense.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a fun kind of evolution on Papers, Please, I think, because I have played it. And yeah, it's a kind of, rather than being like a oppressive Eastern Bloc European country, it's British nightclubs in a weird dystopia where, the rest of Europe have been shut out. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it and what you think of it, because it's quite interesting.
This looks interesting. And not only that, there is a sequel to it, Not Tonight 2.
There is, and I have not played that one, but I think that one's way more American themed, where this one's about kind of being in England and separated from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Not Tonight 2 is about America kind of blocking off the rest of the world as well, and like building the wall between America and Mexico and, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so let's make America great again, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. So it kind of plays on very similar themes to Papers, Please, but in a completely different fashion and by a different developer and everything.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's a fun little indie game that I'd like to highlight. I actually was looking on Steam and I wrote a negative review for this when I first played it because there was a game-breaking bug, which meant I couldn't finish the game.
That was very important to find out.
Yeah, but they did fix it. So I was having such a good time, and you know how it is, like sometimes you're having such a good time with the game and then you hit a game-breaking bug and you're like, I cannot continue anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having such a good time and I'm just annoyed now. And so I wrote a negative review and did not recommend it, but the devs did end up responding and saying, hey, we've actually fixed that bug, so, play it again. And I did, and I finished it, and it was good.
Yeah, you actually didn't change your review, because I'm looking at the Steam page and it says one friend recommends against this game. I still
Yeah, I tend not to change things very much. I mean, the comment there from the dev is there as well, so, you know, anyone reading it can see that they fixed that bug. So, yeah. And I don't tend to review things very much anyway, so unless there is like a bad, horrible bug or something which I want to perhaps warn people about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a fun game. It's because you've just played Papers, Please, and because you know, you're already in that kind of mindset, I thought this would be a fun one to play and kind of compare as well. So I think I'll give it a replay because it's been a long time since I did play it. I think I played it back in 2018. So yeah. And I managed to finish it in 9 hours, but according to HLTB, the all play styles is about 12 and a half, I think. So that's a reasonable amount of time, if you ask me.
It is very reasonable indeed. It's going to be very fun.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that sometime in the future when we both given it a play. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think. And to round everything off with the start of a new guessing game round, I'm going to quiz Paula on one of her completions and see if she can guess it from the completion notes recorded on How Long to Beat and perhaps some other clues like platforms and times and that sort of stuff. So I've got one here to kick off this season, if you want to call it that. We can call this season 2. This is a game, of course, that I want to say you completed in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, it's... I'll add more in a bit, but my first clue for a main story completion, this person completed it in 4 hours. And their completion note says, it was nice and relaxing in the beginning, but after that, oh God, did not bother to do extras.
Nice and relaxing at the beginning. And
But after
there's
that,
extra levels.
oh God.
Might be a puzzle game. Is it Memento?
No.
No, I think I replayed that one last year. And I originally played it like on 2018, I think. Is it Railbound?
No.
I think that's 2023, but anyway. Nice and relaxing. You said 4 hours, right?
And for a main story, that's a little bit longer than the average, but only a little bit.
Only a little bit. What was I playing that year?
The game itself came out in 2021. So you played it, you know, within a year of it coming out.
Is it a street cut still?
No, it is not.
Oh, but I wouldn't call that exactly relaxing now that I think about it. Line? Like with a Y instead of an I?
No, I know the one, but it's not that. Well, that was a fun little puzzle game.
Yeah, Knights maybe? No.
Nope. This is quite a popular game. A lot of people have played it.
Oh no, not this again.
It's not super duper like it's on How Long to Beat. There's 3,000 completions, give or take.
Is it Islanders?
No.
Okay, give me another clue. I need more than that.
Okay. So for main plus sides, this completion took 5 hours and 55 minutes.
Okay.
And their comment is, took my time just to make everything look perfect for myself, but wasn't going for stickers.
Stickers. That's important. Was it going for stickers? It said 2022.
You finished it in 2022. The game came out in 2021. It was the end of 2021 though, so.
Oh my god. Oh. I know it's not a tiny sticker job because I completed that last year and it came out last year, so get out of my mind, god damn it.
This game has mostly been completed on PC, but it is also available for mobile, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox One.
I played it on Switch, probably.
Apparently you did not.
I did not? Okay. Okay, it's a relaxing game. It has stickers. And it is a short game.
This main plus sides, which is 5 hours and 55 minutes, is actually a bit long again because the average main plus size is 4 hours.
Does that one has stickers? But it's not relaxing. It's not Flipping Death, is it?
No, it is not. You did complete this on PC.
Oh, yeah. I completed Flipping Death on Switch, so fuck it.
And you rated it pretty highly as well, I have to say.
What was I thinking? Like, if I can't even remember the darn thing.
Yeah, it made such a good impression on you. But you took, for a main plus, 2 hours and 49 minutes, which was much quicker than the other ones we've looked at.
That just confuses me even further. It's probably a puzzle game then, because I do tend to take less time on those.
You'd be in the right, wheelhouse with puzzle games.
It's not Terranil because that one came out quite recently.
Don't know how much this will help you, but I happen to know that the developer is pretty much a 2-person team who did the bulk of the work. There were a couple of other people involved, like for other jobs, but
how come I am not remembering shit right now?
Alright, I think I'll give you the final clue.
Yeah, please.
If you're ready. It might seem like an odd clue, but this is actually very revealing. So I'll give you more hints as well if you need, but this one is a completionist run.
Okay.
Which only took 3 hours and 50 minutes, so shorter than the average main plus, and shorter than the average completionist. And the completion note says, "My mum spent 45 minutes in one room, so it lengthened my time. But it was a very fun completion."
Wait, this is in one room. Oh, unpacking?
It is unpacking, yes.
Oh my god. What's that about the stickers? I don't know. Let's reveal.
I think if you get like everything perfect, you get like stars as stickers, kind of like a rating system. I think. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I played it. So yeah, you rated it 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I forget that one came out like on 2021.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very relaxing, but I didn't like. What threw me off is like the person saying like it was very relaxing at the beginning, and then it was like the stickers. The stickers, it was like, oh my god. But yeah,
well, it can't be too obvious.
I got a
yeah, a lot of the other completion notes are just like, I got all the achievements, and that's about it. So, but yeah, this game. The only reason I know about the development team is because it's by a developer called Witchbeam, who are an indie group who made another game called Assault Android Cactus, and they're basically a bunch of men and women from Brisbane in Australia. So, and I love their other game, Assault Android Cactus. I'm even wearing a T-shirt now of one of their characters. So, yeah, there we go. And yeah, there were two main developers on Unpacking, which was I can't remember their names, but they're like a man and a woman. She did most of the art and design, and he did most of the programming, I think. Yeah. And yeah, I just like those sorts of things where you kind of know what people are doing. It's always interesting, I think. But yeah, that's Unpacking, and that will give you 1 point to start off the next one.
Good.
And I think that will do us for this episode. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm still like, how did I not see that coming? God the fucking damn it. Anyway, thank you all for listening to another episode of the HLTB podcast.
Mhm.
Um, uh, as always, leave your comments on there if you so liked. But while you're there, please press that like button and that subscribe button. And oh my god, I should probably have rehearsed this beforehand. But anyway. Well, see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Adios.
What if I say I don't feel like it? Anyway,